Joel Klatt is with us from the city that never sleeps, Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Klatt, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys today? What's
Good.
going on? I appreciate you being able to move me a day, obviously, with travel and everything.
That's not a problem. Anything for you. You know that, Klatt. Rule number one that we were taught at Jacksonville State is if you're ever doing an interview, never give up the microphone. Never give it up. Everybody on that, everybody, did you watch the post game?
Nuh-uh.
Everybody on that stage is trying to get the microphone from Klatt. It started with Signetti, and Klatt never gave it up. Kudos to you.
That's right.
Kudos to you, Klatt. They applauded you in the truck, I'm sure.
It was, yeah, they did, and it was a bit of a tug of war at times there with Signetti in particular. But man, the joy on that stage, guys, it's interesting because there are programs that players expect to win, championships, and they expect to be on those stages. And I've given the trophy to Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State over the years. The outpouring of joy from the players on that stage was something unique that I hadn't experienced. And so that was a fun game on Saturday night. That was kind of the best of what I thought college football had to offer.
Hey, Klatt, and the disrespect. I was talking to people in the hotel before SEC championship, and we were talking about that game. And I liked Indiana in the game. I thought it was a bigger game for Indiana. And
it was.
People weren't giving them any credit. And it was like, we saw this last year. No, this is a completely different team. The roster, so much better. They did it without Mark Cooper. You saw what they did earlier this year against Illinois, on the road against Iowa, what they did against Oregon. They've got a Heisman winning trophy quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, and it's just a different team, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing is I don't understand what they need to do this year for people not to view them as like some sort of upstart. They earned the number one ranking, like hands down. The Oregon win in Eugene, I think, is the second best overall win in college football of the entire season. And you know what? I might even be discounting that Big Ten championship game. Ohio State is a excellent team. We all know that. Look at what they have just from a draft pick perspective around that team, what they've got on the outside with Smith and Tate to hold them to 10. I think people have to realize that Indiana's defense is as good as any. Now, I think Ohio State's still the best defense in college football, but Indiana is right there. And I think that should be scary for other teams in this playoff, to be quite honest with you, because that's an excellent football team. Excellent football team. They're not going anywhere. It will not shock me at all, if that's a rematch in the national championship, those two teams.
Curt Cignetti coaches without the pressure that is felt by Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Day and guys like that. Does that allow him to coach looser and more different, or more looser, however I should say this, and differently than a Kalen DeBoer or Ryan Day?
I think there's a freedom in that. I do. I think that's accurate, but I also, and this is going to be blasphemous on this show, and this is, hear me out.
Okay.
Of all the guys that I've covered throughout my entire career, Saban's the most unique in just his maniacal, process-oriented focus, day in and day out. And granted, I didn't get to cover him a ton, but was fortunate enough to go into Tuscaloosa 3 different times and spend, a little bit of time around the program, and covered him when they played Texas. Signetti is not like him from a style standpoint, but as it relates to the maniacal focus of the process, he's the closest thing that I've ever covered to Saban. And again, I know that that's blasphemous around there. And I'm not trying to say he's as good or anything. I just think there's similarities. And obviously he coached for Nick and learned there. One of the things that I think impresses me the most, and I wish I could have expanded on this, and the game was just too good. He talked a lot to us before the game about evaluating and why he feels like he's so good at evaluating. Because remember, none of these players have 4 or 5 stars next to them from the time they were recruited. These are guys that had to go to mid-majors, a lot of them, and they were all conference performers at different levels. And come up and they're playing incredible football now at the highest level in our sport. And I said, like, what made you such a good evaluator? And he was like, well, I learned how to do it really well. And then he said, and I believe in myself. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he said, I'm not going to trust anybody else's eyes but mine. I don't care what your rating is. I will trust my eyes, and my eyes will tell me if I think you can play for me. And he does that. And so he evaluates so well for him, for his system, for his culture, and you can see that on the field.
What's funny about that is, had Nick Saban retired a year before he did, 2 years before he did, and you would have said, okay, start giving me the list of Saban assistants you want to hire in this job. Boy, do you know how far you would go down before you get to Curt Cignetti?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, you would get – people would be like, wait, he coached for Nick?
I know.
Yeah. First 2 years, remember way back when?
And what's crazy is, we always look for the Saban assistant that was most like Nick Saban. Well, it's Kirby Smart, obviously. But Signetti is number 2. I mean, that's the guy that is most Nick Saban-like, really.
And I'm telling you, just this process that it's really fascinating. I've loved getting to know him. He's outstanding. And then, by the way, if Saban would have retired this year, guess who the leading candidate would be to replace him? Well, probably Kirby. I understand, but Kirby went to Georgia.
No, Kirby wouldn't do it. It'd be Curt Cignetti. Yeah,
it would be Curt Cignetti, which is wild.
I know,
guys. It is wild. And just to think to yourself, and I said it on the stage, even though Lance didn't watch. Thanks a lot, Lance.
I watched the game. You did a great job on your call.
We're kidding.
Although I couldn't hear you because we were in a sports bar.
Yeah, I had gone back up to my hotel room. I caught the fourth quarter in the postgame at my hotel room. Lance stayed down in the hotel restaurant. Yeah.
So I said, hey, for the first time in the history of Indiana football, tomorrow you guys are going to be number 1 in the country. And here's the thing: we've had some fluke number 1s during the course of a season here and there. Remember the first ever playoff rankings in history? You remember who was the number 1 team?
Was it Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
State, yeah.
Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah, Mississippi State. And so, we've had little. You win a game here or there. You haven't played your toughest opponent, so on and so forth, and all of a sudden you wind up there based on circumstance. This is not circumstance. That team, Indiana, earned the number 1 seed, and if they play Alabama in the second round, guys, they will be favored. This world we're living here is wild.
It really, and we've got a Vanderbilt quarterback that could win a Heisman Trophy on Saturday night.
I mean, we shouldn't. But whatever. That's the Southern. That's the Southern deal, guys. 100% it is.
No, we think Mendoza's going to
toughest games.
We think Mendoza's going to win it. I think Lance's point was.
I'm saying he's going to end up being the runner-up. Mendoza's going to win it. Okay, I patted myself on the back with liking Indiana. I did like Alabama. Walking around the hotel, people were like, Alabama fans scared to death, and I'm like, they're in Kirby's head. They've got their number, and I don't know how they're going to do it. And I think defense will win it. This offense, I need you to explain it to us because I can't understand. And I know injuries are a thing, but injuries are a thing. Omar Cooper didn't play for Indiana on Saturday night. Injuries are a thing at this particular point of the season. But if you take away Eastern Illinois, the fact of the matter is Alabama's last 4 games out, they've averaged 18.3 points per game. Their defense is playing at another level, but the offense is completely broken. What is going on with it?
Well, I think this is what can happen when you're one-dimensional. And, I know that Jam has at times run the ball well, right? We would all say that. And he's a good player. But when he either hasn't been available, healthy, or productive, it is just an incredibly one-dimensional offense, and then you're reliant on timing, you're reliant on protection, you're reliant on all these different things that don't have to really deal with just your effort level. This is why running the football is so important. Yes, there's detail and execution in the run game, of course, but there is a larger element of effort that then is thrown into the equation. Therefore, it can be more consistent just in general. You look at throughout history, there's a reason why the pure air raid offense has never really contended or won even a conference championship, guys. right? Because it's too one-dimensional. And I know that that's probably way too simple of an answer, but that's the answer. And once you give really good defenses an entire season of film, once they realize you're one-dimensional, once they realize how to attack your protection, once all of this is on the film, man, when you get into the back half of the year, you can't fake it. You cannot fake it. And the other teams will know what you're doing. The coaches become better. The players become better. And in big games, like all of a sudden, look at Ohio State. You know, they struggled running the football. They scored 10 points, guys, against Indiana. And so you can have Jeremiah Smith on the outside. You can have, you know, Bernard and Ryan Williams and all these different guys. But if you can't at least have some threat and base downs to keep yourself on schedule, then what ends up happening is that you're throwing the football because you have to rather than because you want to. And when you get into that position, it's really tough to be successful on offense.
The odd thing about that, Klatt, is statistically the best day in that stretch has been against Oklahoma. Now, they did have 2 interceptions. I understand that. But also almost, I think, over 300 pass yards, which is pretty rare against that Oklahoma defense.
Doesn't make sense because I think OU in that stretch, wouldn't you say that was the best defense that they faced in that stretch?
Yeah, I mean, their defense.
But that speaks to the inconsistency of it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's just going to go away all the time. But it's like, you know, what are you going to get from day in and day out? If you're hot and, man, the timing's on and you've got them, then all of a sudden, you know, you can have success. But again, Oklahoma was able to put enough pressure on Ty where he turned the football over a couple of times, and then that's the game.
Yeah. Now, I will say this about Alabama, though. Their defense is playing to an elite level right now.
Yeah, way better than it was early.
No doubt. 28 Georgia points, terribly misleading. I mean, a lot of that was short fields. Alabama really only gave up one drive that whole game to Georgia.
I like this matchup for them. This is like the offensive challenge.
Yeah.
You know, what is the over-under? If the over-under was in the 30s, I wouldn't be surprised. You guys probably know
it'll get there. I think it opened at 40.5. I would have put it at like 36.
Think about how low that is. 40.5. There was a point in college football, you guys remember, and we used to talk about it, like when Nick had to shift offensive philosophies because it was like, well, at some point you're going to have to win 45-42. Remember that era of college football?
Yeah.
You know, and then here comes Lane Train and you know, and they kind of shifted and morphed and adjusted. And now you look up and the best teams in like this whole playoff is going to be a defensive oriented deal. Like, look at what the Big Ten championship game was. Oregon can play quality defense. Bama can play quality defense. You know, so I think there are going to be some really low scoring games. I just wish, I know you didn't even ask this. Sorry, little tangent. Can the group of 5 go play their own national championship?
I know.
Well, I was going to ask in this regard. Can you do this for us? And we know James Madison, like great story, whatever. Tulane, nice story, whatever. Doesn't matter. Can you list us in order the teams that you think will win the national championship or can, and then stop when you get to a point where these teams can't win a national championship? I've got a feeling you only believe there's one SEC team that can win a national championship.
I'll keep up with these.
Yeah. No, that's right. Do you want me to in order? Like if
I mean, Ohio State, Indiana. I wonder where you are on that game after calling it.
I love that we just assume he's going Big Ten game. All right.
Well, you know he is.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think you would have to, right? Like,
I don't have a problem with it.
I think it would be hard to beat that Buckeye team twice.
Yep.
So I'll actually start with Ohio State.
Okay.
Odds makers have done the same thing. Then I'll go Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Third on that list, man, probably Georgia.
Has to be.
Just because I think that they're coming into their own, and that's just a team that's hard to kill, and they have been all year. I think I would go Oregon next.
Is Texas Tech got a shot?
Yeah, I would go Tech next, and then I'm done. I can't even give you another team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, the sad thing is if Notre Dame gets in, Notre Dame's on your list.
It would be right there.
Yeah.
That's 100% right. I even said that on my show. I was like, Notre Dame, They don't have a gripe and they have a gripe all in the same sentence. I feel bad for them. We all feel bad for Notre Dame only because of what happened to them because we saw weekly rankings. If we would have just seen this at the end of the year, we would have been like, well, that makes sense because Miami won the game. I don't buy into this argument of like, well, what about Bama? Why are they in? It's like, shut up. Bama was the number 1 seed in the SEC championship game. Of course, they're going to the college football playoff. That's a ridiculous sentiment. Totally ridiculous sentiment. So that's the Bama side of things. Obviously, you saw, I don't like the group of 5 in particular getting 2 spots. But why do they get 2 spots? Because the ACC is stupid. So, guys, like, what are we doing with the tiebreaker? What really screwed Notre Dame was not ESPN. It wasn't the committee. It was the ACC tiebreaker, because if the ACC is worth their salt at all, Miami is not sitting at home watching a 5-loss Duke team play for the ACC championship. Miami is in the ACC championship, beating Virginia, taking that spot, which allows Notre Dame to have the next spot. Like, this is not a hard, fix. I don't think you've got to blow up the playoff. You just got to look at the ACC and be like, fix your tiebreakers. What are you doing?
Yeah, McElroy, I thought, made an excellent point on the selection show after everything had been unveiled and they were in that discussion. Assuming college football championship games continue to live, and who knows?
Which,
yeah, we may be watching their death in front of us, but assuming they continue to live, he said the conferences need to just have an agreed upon ranking, whatever it is, whether you agree upon Sagarin, whether you agree upon the football playoff rankings, the Associated Press poll, whatever you want to do. But your 2 highest tied teams in that ranking play for your championship, and all the conferences need to agree on it.
Greg makes an excellent point here in 2 regards. One is that we need to have some sort of agreement that is outside of individual conferences. So again, that speaks to more of an overarching governance, right, of the sport, where somebody comes in and says, listen, we're all going to do it this way. We're not going to have all of our own officials and all of our own replay centers and all of our own tiebreakers, right? Like that sort of thinking I think needs to go away. So in that respect, Greg, dead on. And in another respect is some sort of universal like go-to that immediately, if you've got ties, I think it should always go head to head. And then what's the ranking?
Right.
Boom. Like right there. It's number 2. And we don't have to go any further past that. And if that was the case, Miami would be in. We wouldn't have to slog through 2 really bad CFP games. Maybe I'm not giving Tulane and JMU enough credit, but I just don't see, like, we saw Tulane play Ole Miss. Now we didn't see it without Lane Kiffin, but man, I think that Ole Miss team is going to be motivated and ready to go.
Curt Cignetti is a different kind of guy, no doubt. Fernando Mendoza is a little different out there too.
Yeah, he is.
I wanted to add 2 things, because we just assume the way Signetti's built this. Curtis Rourke last year out of the portal, this year Fernando Mendoza. I would assume Alberto Mendoza, his younger brother, has got an opportunity to be that guy next year if they don't go to the portal. And then second part, Fernando at 6'5", 225 pounds with decent legs and a big arm. How do you project him to the next level? Do you think he's going to be a franchise quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, he's so not in his play, but just in his personality really quickly. He reminds me a lot of Kirk Cousins. And I think that interview at the end probably, signals that to a lot of people. He is a football nerd, and like he loves it. He's incredibly smart, just a very intelligent guy. It's why he went to Cal. And when I look at the way that he played, I honestly don't think that there's even going to be a debate about who the top quarterback taken in the NFL draft is. I think that there was some question mid-year because Ty had played so well and had made so many incredible throws. And now, with Ty's size and like, is he even going to come out? So who knows? But I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be the top quarterback selected in the draft, and he could absolutely be a face of a franchise. But again, it's going to be a quirky face of the franchise, but he loves it, man. I tell you, he loves football. He's a football nerd, And I mean that in the absolute best and most well-meaning way.
Do you think Signetti goes back to the portal, or you think Alberto's the guy?
I would guess it's going to be portal.
Okay.
I just don't know which one. Well, which one will the eyes of Signetti land on?
So Sawyer Robertson?
I don't think he's got quick enough hands.
Interesting.
Like you need
shortstop.
You gotta have that RPO type of. I don't know. I would have to, and to be real honest with you, I haven't watched enough Sawyer. I would have to dive in and watch a little Sawyer to do that. That's an interesting one. But yeah, like a quick-handed guy. He loves them tall, so they have to have the frame. So he's not going to take a guy that's less than 6'3" or 6'4". Calm in the pocket. I would have to do some digging on that.
Yeah, he's 2 for 2. He knows what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing. This is crazy.
It is. It is just so fascinating to watch this, because this is a guy, I was watching an interview with him this morning, and I can't even remember who the interviewer was, asking him, because he was at Alabama, and he was like, I'm going to be a 60-year-old assistant coach, and I'm never going to have a chance to be a head coach. So he takes a D2 job. A D2.
Where did he go first? I think did he go to IUP first? No.
Yeah,
Elon.
I think it was. No, I thought I was IUP.
Was it IUP and then Elon?
And then James Madison eventually, yeah.
And then James Madison. He's never had a losing season as a head coach. Think about this. Never. Not one. And now I might get this a game or two wrong. He was 11-1 at JMU. Then he was, 11-2. All right, so now we're 22-3. And now he's 13-0.
Yeah.
We're 35-3 in his last 38 games as a head coach. Jeez.
I know.
Hey, it's the greatest turnaround in college football history, for sure.
Oh, dude, they were the losingest program in history. I thought what Bill Snyder did at Kansas State would never be topped, or even remember Gary Barnett, my old coach, what he did with Northwestern when he took him to a Rose Bowl in the early 90s. With what was it, Darnell Autry? Autry. I didn't think those would ever get topped. This is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, and
absolutely bonkers.
And he's going to get a lot of coaches fired because guys like Mark Stoops, like Will Stein takes over Kentucky. Well, Kentucky fans are going to be like, well, if Indiana can do it, why can't we do it?
Yep. And that you're exactly right. And we don't need any incentive to start firing coaches any earlier than we already are. He's certainly going to put the heat on it.
I do remember, though, I'm looking back now to remind myself of the dates, but I do remember when Signetti left Alabama to take IUP, I literally thought, boy, Saban must not have liked that guy. Who leaves Alabama?
Hey, maybe he didn't. Maybe he needed to leave.
Who leaves Alabama to go be the head coach at IUP?
Hey, before you get out of here, though, because speaking of coaches, Matt Campbell to Penn State, what does that do for you, and why did they not do it sooner?
Oh, man. That's a loaded. The back end of that is loaded.
Okay.
They had, let me start with that. They had other targets that took a long time to work through and then fell through. And then you start looking really, really bad. But Matt was always on a fairly short list and is a guy that I think when you really step back and look at it, if they would have done it right away, or if it would have been quicker, I think we all would have been like, yeah, that's a good hire. This guy has been up for several jobs during the course of the last few years. He clearly understands what he's doing. He's built a solid program at Iowa State, a place that's hard to build a solid program in the Big 12. And that's a good hire. I think that the timing throws that into question. And in particular, you start to look bad when it feels like people are getting to third base and then turning you down. And that's why I think it started to feel like, oh, geez, a little panic mode at Penn State. And listen, if your panic hire is Matt Campbell, then that's probably pretty good. But it speaks to, I will say this, he's had opportunities to go to some really big programs, trust me. And he didn't. And the reason he went here is because he believes not only in Penn State, but he wanted to work for Pat Kraft, who I think is a really good AD. And I know he's not going to come out of this looking great, but Pat's a terrific leader, and has done a great job there in terms of money and support. And he can be at a place where he feels like he can actually win a national championship. And I don't think he's wrong. That's a good program. I would love to go coach at a place where they can put 106,000 and be one of the best environments in college football. So I think Matt will do a good job at Penn State. I hope he does. In fact, selfishly, I hope he does. Because, we have like one area of the country where it's like that's where we do all of our games. They happen to be there. So hope he does well.
Hey, I know you're playing good golf at 43, but can you please explain to everyone out there that Phillip Rivers taking the last 5 years off to coach high school football, now possibly coming back. I don't know if you've seen the schedule, but they've got to go to Seattle. They've got the Texans, they've got the 49ers, and they've got the Jags. They've got 4 top 10 defenses, and people believe this guy is going to be able to come out of 5 years retirement at 44 and play high-level football.
Who
said that?
Like Indiana could be great at college football, right? No,
right.
I'm kidding. This is crazy. How old is he now?
44.
44.
So he's a year older than me. Guys, I can barely walk to the bathroom in the morning without feeling like, is my Achilles going to pop? You know exactly what I'm talking about too, right? Like, there's no way this works. And if it does, like, start the movie scripts now. It'll be incredible. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe it won't. Maybe it won't. Watching an old man on the field. 44.
44.
What are you doing?
I know.
Isn't there better options than that? There's got to be a better option than Phillip Rivers.
Who?
I think Riley Leonard's a better option.
Well,
he's your number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, but you got to have a backup. You don't have a backup for him, do you? He was the backup.
Yeah, but Phillip Rivers ain't going to come in and be a backup.
Riley Leonard couldn't throw it last year.
Well,
against college defenses.
You're right, but I'm just saying he's still got to be a better option than 44-year-old Phillip Rivers.
Phillip's been coaching,
This
man.
is it feels like the ghost of Uncle Rico, man. Spin a pigskin over that mountain.
I mean, if he gets to play, the announcer can use the coach on the field and be absolutely correct. You literally are going to have a coach on the field and Phillip Rivers. Guys.
There's got to be. I'm trying to think of even anybody else that's just like floating around.
I mean, RG3 was publicly, he was campaigning. I forgot what quarterback job he wanted.
Well, I mean, Phillip Rivers is a borderline Hall of Famer. RG3 ain't. I'm just saying, you're getting a.
Yeah, but RG3's still in his 20s or 30s.
I don't know how old RG is.
I mean, at least the guy has been like coaching football, because that means every day since he started coaching, he's been throwing the football.
That's right.
I mean, so I guess that's something. Something. And I'm sure he's been throwing one, to the high school kids. Hey, go spin it, Phillip. Let's go.
One for the old guys.
And maybe he just needs more like, college money for all those kids he's got.
He's got a bunch. All right, he is Joel Klatt, college football on Fox, and also the Joel Klatt Show on demand. Enjoy Vegas, Klatt. We appreciate the time.
As you guys could probably imagine, Vegas is not really my speed. But
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Yep. You've been there less than 24 hours. That's plenty for me. Hit the flight home.
I'm done. I do have a massage scheduled.
That's good. Hey, they got great restaurants. Yeah. I'm a 48-hour Vegas guy now. When I go, I don't even like going anymore either.
We ate at this place. It was incredible last night. It was called like Komodo or something, and it was all sushi. I was like, man, it was very good.
Who was at the table? Well, I mean, some big timers.
Well, I was sitting next to Mr. Deuce himself, the Alabama Heisman Trophy winner, Mark Ingram.
Okay.
Whom I love. I don't know if I could love another human as more than I love Mark Ingram, other than my wife and family. He is the most beautiful human being. I love Mark Ingram. He's the best. So it was Mark and Matt Leinart, a few of the other. Jenny Taft was there. Rob Stone was there. So a bunch of us from Fox, we left. Urban had a big party for reception for going into the Hall of Fame. So we all wanted to go and support him as our colleague. And then we went to dinner afterwards.
Well, Urban's got a tequila now. I'm sure you know about it. Brandon Spikes told us all about it this weekend.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
actually.
Urban's got a tequila.
Yeah. I would have given anything to hear Gus say, I want a bottle of wine at Escargot. Is that the way he orders?
No,
Oh.
it's not. Oh, man.
I'd give anything.
He's much more subdued outside of the booth.
Oh, is he? Well, it would be hard to be less subdued than he is in the booth. He's got to come.
That's right.
He's got to come down somehow.
Enjoy that massage, Klatt.
Thank you, Klatt. We'll see you, buddy.
All right, boys. Have a great day.
All right, see you. Klatt with us on the Alexander Shinara Trial Attorneys Hotline.